Hi, this is Mick Elliott at Electronics Specifier. I'm here with Davey, who is the Associate VP Design Services in EMEA for Arrow Electronics. Arrow have taken a slightly different approach at this electronica, working with customers to show some applications on the stand, what can be done with smart technology. Jamie, you'd like to talk us through some of this?
Absolutely, yeah, thank you. Cheers, Mick. So as I mentioned, here we are today at the Technology Zone, and you mentioned about the fact that we really wanted to showcase how we could showcase technology through our customers' products rather than necessarily just show the technology as it is, if that makes sense. So today, what I wanted to showcase is maybe the Stark VARC, which is part of from a company called Stark Future. It is the world's fastest motocross bike, so it's even though it's electric, it's incredibly powerful. The background to this is that we work closely with some of our semiconductor and PEMCO partners to create and help this customer design this particular product, certainly around the battery management solution, around the drivetrain and inverter, and of course Stark themselves developed a very unique motor to create this compact design to deliver this sort of power and performance. You know, a couple of things I think is quite unique about this bike that's quite interesting is that, as I mentioned before, it has a capability of mapping itself to simulate what a petrol engine motorbike would be like. So it can feel like and drive like a sort of 250 two-stroke, a 400 four-stroke, you know, or if you wanted, you know, all-out performance and an absolute blast. And then I think the final thing that's quite interesting from a product point of view is a lot of trails and areas where motocross bikes have been in the past have been closed because of the sound element of it. Yeah. And of course, being electric, it's completely silent, which then makes it, you know, a much more accessible product for everyone else.
And you can use your phone to adjust speed and...
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So not only is it not only is it compact in the same way that of how it drives, but it's also linked back into a Microsoft Azure back-end product, if that makes sense. So it allows you then to map and change the drive characteristics of this bike.
Okay. And was that the customer coming to you with the idea and you developing it alongside with them?
Yeah, correct. So in this instance, for example, we were very close with the customer through their design phases. We helped with their selection of what products what components they should be using. But ultimately, they led the design, and we assisted with the support from that from our big engineering team here in Europe.
Okay, Jamie, thanks very much. We're going to move over to another part of the stand now, just to talk through another product where Arrow was even more closely involved in the development. Back here with Davey, and Jamie, I think this one is a really interesting one because this is where Arrow really did get very closely involved actually in the design of the product.
Yeah, correct. So I don't know if you're aware, but we acquired a design services company back in 2018 called EMEA. EMEA is a full end-to-end design services company with around 3,200 engineers, primarily based in India, but we have some in North America, and we're looking to further invest here in Europe and build our capabilities up. Evarca is a very interesting customer for us. They're a company that is already in business in making products, but it didn't have a portfolio of EV charging products. And so therefore they wanted to pivot some of their business model. They wanted to get access into this EV charging space because they've seen the explosive growth. And so they came to us and said, could you develop this for us? Could you, working together, basically, could you take the leadership on this and create an EV charging product? So working with them, we think we've created a very unique, very good-looking product for the market space. Not only was it just the hardware design, but actually on the back-end side, it has cloud development, it has app development too for the customer, either on iOS and Android, and all of that was basically delivered through the EMEA design services team.
And did you help to spec this product in terms of charging time and the semiconductors and other components you'd need to achieve that charging time?
Yeah, we did, Mick. So where this was slightly different to maybe some of the other designs, the customer clearly has a lot of experience with working with semiconductor partners, but really they were more interested in the spec of the product rather than maybe the spec of the individual components that make that product work. So, through our engineering team, they were the ones that selected the parts that would best represent this product and deliver to the specifications that the customer was looking for.
Okay, and just to get a feel for it, does this absolutely start from concept, going right through to you supplying the volume components to make the product?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the great thing about Arrow, right? I mean, so it started at this sort of ideation phase where actually what we can do is we have solutions architects that can take a customer through that particular journey, help them understand how they could bring their product to life, what sort of specs they should be looking for through the design phase. But then the great thing is, as we are part of Arrow, one of the largest global distributors of components, of course, we can then supply those components and actually supply the end product as well if needed.
Okay, and just going back slightly, you could also do simulation and test services as well?
Correct, yeah. So we took this part through simulation test, but also the certification element of it as well. So, all of that was capable within our business.
Okay, we're going to move over again in a moment, probably for something that's right up my street as a football fan. Okay, here we are again on the Arrow stand. Another interesting application, very much for sports clubs, football clubs. Jamie, can you just explain what this is about?
Yeah, of course. It looks a bit odd, but it's a fantastic bit of kit actually. It's our customer called VO, and this is the VO Cam. Basically what it is, if you imagine that this pole would go a lot higher than it is today, it would overlook a football field, and what it does is it's a bit like an autonomous cameraman. It films the entire football pitch with its 2 cameras in 4K. It then combines the images and does some very clever AI analytics to basically take the best bits of the football match out. It can be basically for, I would say, non-professional players, and it takes a really nice element to that. So, if your son or daughter were playing some football, they could subscribe and it would send their highlights of their match to you on your phone after the game itself. It's used by professional football teams to do analytics of how they play and look at their strategy and how well they've played in both in practice and in match play as well. And then more and more it's also being used by individuals, certainly ones that are on a sponsorship contract or want to really improve their game as an individual player, and therefore it has the ability then just to track you as an individual rather than the entire game.
Okay, there's clearly a lot of technology in this, which Arrow was able to supply from the semiconductors through to the camera, sensors, the whole lot, yeah?
Yeah, and actually even more than that, so you're right, it has got a huge amount of technology in it. I think it's a great application of something that you can see and visualize, certainly using artificial intelligence and sort of machine learning elements of that. So not only have we, helped the customer with the hardware development, obviously the cameras inside the product itself, but more importantly, also the cloud infrastructure too. So our partnership with multiple cloud partners, including Microsoft and AWS, means that we can help with that aspect of the design.
And this product's out in the field now, is it?
Yeah, it has been right now. Yeah,
no pun intended.
yeah. No, it is absolutely out there, and they're doing very well. So I think it's a great company and a great product.
Okay, and this was one where the Arrow engineering team got involved.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so this would be effectively the Arrow, European engineering team was helping that customer create this product. And what's interesting is they're a startup, right? So they went from really specifying what their vision was and how they wanted to develop it, and we helped them along that journey, and the product's here today.
Okay, just in context, then you obviously have a big core of field application engineers to support customers on projects like this.
We do, yeah. So we have field application engineers virtually in every country in Europe supporting our customers design products in. And not only are we focused just on the semiconductor products, there's also a big area which we call PEMCO, which is the sort of passive electromechanical element of too, which clearly in many instances is also fairly critical to the design.
Okay, terrific. I think we've got time for one more maybe. Here we are again, Arrow stand. Jamie, this is clearly a drone, but not any old drone.
No, this is a wonderful piece of kit actually. So this is an industrial drone that's designed to map buildings, any outside and inside of structures, so that you can create a 3D rendering of that particular area. And therefore you can do 2 things with this. You can either create a digital twin, so if you could imagine that you were trying to put together a power station or a big building that you wanted to simulate how that was working in the digital twin environment, you can do that. And Leica has an incredible rendering and software package to help you do that. The other thing you can do is, of course, take that image and then put it into the metaverse. So you could then visually, or you could virtually be in that particular world and interact in that space. From a technology standpoint, I think what's quite fascinating just the amount of technology that's in this particular drone. So not only is it fully autonomous, so it will go off and map on its own the building itself with anti-collision. It has LTE, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth on there for data transmission off the drone. but also the fact that it has the ability to use its LiDAR sensors to completely map the 3D rendering of this particular object that it's looking at.
Does it have sensors in it as well there?
Huge amounts of sensors. And actually, the sensor fusion aspect is something that Leica is extremely strong on. That's their core competence and IP, and that's something that they developed with us. And this was a hybrid approach with the customers. So we used all parts of the Arrow for this. To be honest with you, we used the engineering design services for parts of the processing piece in this. Leica themselves clearly understand the IP around the sensor fusion development, data analytics, and how they want to drive that forwards. And then through the Arrow FAE team, we were able to support them for all the component specification and how they were going to drive that forwards.
And I guess the digital twin feature enables users to kind of accelerate development and get to fruition for whatever they want the results they want to get out of this.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a few things. On the digital twin space is an area that is continuing to grow. I think it allows energy companies to be much more viewed on energy efficiency. If they want to make changes to their design, for example, they can simulate that before they physically have to do that in the real world. Yeah. So all of that's quite exciting. And then the other thing, just to add, also Time Magazine has recognised this as one of the top 20 global innovations and products of 2022. So it's pretty exciting in that respect as well.
Okay, Jamie Davey, thank you very much indeed. There you have it, some interesting applications on the Arrow stand. They're in Hall C4 at Electronica, so if you want to come along, there's plenty of people to guide you through them as well.